I just woke up and I'm live because I needed to rant and rave about something. I needed to rant and rave about I need to rant and rave maternal deprivation. I don't think people realize that even 24 hours of deprivation from their mother within the first 5 years of a child's life raises the risk for mental illness, raises the risk for emotionless psychopathy, raises the risk for any number of attachments, relationships when they get older. It's the first 5 years is when your children develop their understanding of who's safe and who's not, who how to have bonding relationships. People don't realize this. I'm angry today. I'm angry because my children are under the impression that I made poor choices, and that's why I wasn't in their life. And no one could be further from the truth. First of all, poor choices is never anything that gives anyone the right to violate the natural rights, the human rights of parents and children. There are biological consequences, proven biological consequences, and connections and consequences, whichever way you want to look at it. And in order for them to justify separating a child from their parents, there has to be evidence that outweighs the risk of maternal deprivation. And maternal deprivation is devastating. Devastating. My children don't like me right now. My children are putting all their trust in the woman who's lied about me. I have not lied to my children. My children ask me, one of my children asked me, why wouldn't I believe mom and dad if they've never lied to us before? When have I ever lied to you guys? When have I ever lied to my children? I've never lied to children. I did not lose my children because of a choice. I lost my children because someone's judgment of me. I lost my children because people were being critical of me and assuming, making assumptions, putting me in positions where I could not speak for myself because I couldn't understand my disorder. Now my mother still refuses to accept my disorder, and it refuses to understand that it was their responsibility as my parents to help me through that, because those were times when I couldn't speak. Everyone's refusing to accept my disorder, assuming that I want sympathy or to get away with something. No, I need you guys to understand why the fuck I've never stood up for myself. I need you to understand why the fuck I wasn't there for my kids, because I was being controlled and abused, because I was being manipulated and lied about by CPS in Arizona and by Jeffrey Martin Miller and CPS in California. And I'm tired of getting told, well, why would they pick you out of all people to hurt? I don't fucking know. I don't know. And I'm sorry for my language. I don't know why they would pick me out of anybody else. And I'm not the only person this happens to. All of these things that are being said to me are so very hurtful and insensitive. And I can't do anything but blame my mother. Because my mother raised my kids. My mother raised my kids. And she wants to be the first one to say I wasn't there to raise them. But when something goes wrong, she's the first to say, you can't blame us. You have no right to say anything about anything because you weren't here. Exactly. Who was there? That makes you the responsible parties. I'm not saying any of you are the reason that my son killed himself. But you're certainly the people responsible for allowing it to happen, Because you know what? In my fucking trailer in California, this is what pisses me off too. They sent me to ETS from here in Arizona. My mom and my aunt both sent me to ETS in motherfucking California because I was suicidal when I wasn't even fucking suicidal. Where were they when my son was going to kill himself? Why were there guns in the house if they already knew he was suicidal? Why wasn't he being supervised 24 hours a day? They didn't have any problems putting me somewhere for 3 days with a bunch of motherfuckers shooting me up with meds I didn't need when I wasn't even suicidal. I'm angry this morning. I'm sorry. I'm angry. My son was 14 years old. And I know exactly why he killed himself. If they were doing to him what they were doing to me, I know why my son killed himself. And then if you but first of all, he was removed from me when he was born for no reason. And if you go look back at the records, everyone will see in the records, the judge said, give that woman her son back. You never had any right to take him to begin with. And CPS just continued this stupid ball rolling. The judge said, give him back. The judge didn't say give him back and open up a case and require them to do all these services. The judge did not say that. The judge said, give the woman her son back. You never had any right to take him. And then CPS sat there on with these services. We need you to do these services. We need you to do these services. And not until now did I realize those are voluntary services. You do not ever have to let CPS into your life like that unless they're going to charge you with a crime against your child. They don't have any right to force you to comply with anything. Your parenting choices are your parenting choices and just that. They can't take your kid because of any choices. Even if you're on drugs, unless you are neglecting or abusing your children, to remove them from their parents is more detrimental than substance abuse in the home, unless there is abuse or neglect. My children have never been abused or neglected. Never. Never by me. Never have they ever been abused or neglected. Never by me or their fathers. And I'm pissed off that my mom took us to dinner. My mom's going to hate me for this one too. I don't give a shit because I want people to understand what the fuck she says to me when there's nobody around. She waited till my dad got out of the car and then decided to say, oh, and I just want to make sure And that's what I promised her. I wouldn't make any more YouTube videos about her. I never made any YouTube videos about her. I made YouTube videos trying to help everybody understand that these are the dysfunctions in our families, not just mine. People everywhere, kids every fucking where are killing themselves because parents are having the same dysfunctionality in their families. Not just ours, Mom. You have to accept that there's 20 years of research behind everything you did to us as a kid. 20 years of research saying that it is ineffective and abusive. 20 fucking years of research. And I get to be rejected and alienated from my family because I have the nerve to bring it to the table. This really upsets me. My mom waited for everybody to get out of the car and then she said, oh, well, no. And then she had to, you have no right to say anything about your son's about Ray's suicide because we were the ones that went through that. Mom, he's still my son. He is still my son, whether I could be there for him or not. He was supposed to come to live with me in California and I couldn't take him because the fucking asshole I was living with kicked me out of the house because I overheard a fucking conversation. Now, if that's not abusive, I don't know what is. He knew I was having a CPS home check. They had no right to do that either. Only thing they had the right to do was get my son from Ohio to me. They didn't have any right to interfere in my life. They didn't have any right to fucking question me about a goddamn thing because I had no signs of substance abuse. I had no signs of anything but being abused. And no one ever, not once, paid attention to any of that. Because I'm an adult and I can take care of myself. I'm so fucking mad this morning. Like, who does my mom think she is? I'm sorry, Becky Leindecker. I don't know who the fuck you think you are. My kids have been lied to all these years. I don't know what she's been telling them. My daughter told me it was because of my choices. I never made any choices that warranted losing my children. I have never made any choices that warranted losing my children. I've never had a positive drug test for CPS. I've never been accused of abuse by CPS. I've never been accused of neglect by CPS. In fact, when my infant passed away, CPS did their investigation. They left my oldest child with me because there were no signs of abuse or neglect, and they couldn't do anything about my daughter passing away because there were no signs of abuse or neglect, but they still put on a file folder in CPS's case files, a file that said Amber Lumpkin, possible death or probable death of an infant due to neglect, just because they wanted to. The police didn't suspect me of anything. And they interrogated our asses for God knows how long when my daughter was rushed to the hospital. All this bullshit I've been through, all this bullshit my whole family's fucking been through, and CPS thinks they have the right to write on a folder probable death of an infant due to neglect. Are you fucking kidding me? My child died in her sleep, and I'm almost positive now that it has to do with my RH factor and negligent doctors, if anything, because she had issues with swelling in her hands a couple weeks before or a month before. Give me a fucking break, man. I'm so fucking sick of this shit. I never made any choices that warranted losing my children. I went to California with someone else who's from here so he could see his sister. He went to jail. I was stuck there, didn't have the wherewithal to get home because of my disorder. And my parents refused to understand that. That's why I sit here in this apartment all by myself every fucking day. Until I have a job that I can handle on my own, working on my own, which is what I need. I can't be in a position where I'm going to be influenced to let other people work with me or let other people get me to do their job. I can't do that because I'm too vulnerable to it. People abuse the fact that they know me and that they know that I'm very generous with my time. And, oh, if I can help, I will. And people have abused that all these 15, 25 fucking years. And here I sit. All I want is my family back. All I want. My mom, I love my mom, but I'm over that. I don't need a relationship with her if it's going to be that toxic. And if she's going to say the things she's saying she's saying I'm verbally abusive. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? I've only ever called her begging her for help and begging them to explain to me why they hate me so much because they won't listen to me. That's not verbally abusive. Why do you hate me? Why do you hate me so much? Why don't you care about us enough to get us out of here? That's all I ever yelled to my mother. I believe there's times I was dialing phones when I was having psychotic episodes and telling the motherfuckers that were threatening to kill my kids and my family. Where are they all now? Where are they all now? Where are all those psychotic episodes now? And you can't blame it on drugs. I tried and tested that whole idea. Can't blame it on drugs. Can't blame it on drugs. I tried and tested that idea. I sat there, snorted pixie sticks and pretended I had lines of dope on my table. Motherfuckers, you guys don't even know what they're doing to mental health patients. You don't know what they're doing to people medically without consent. You have no clue what my son was probably going through before he killed himself. And actually, I take that back. Because had anybody stopped and listened to me, read the numerous books that I had everything written down in, and then the numerous times that they all checked out later on, oh, this came out to be fact. Oh, this came out to be fact. Oh, this is actually fact. Oh, that actually happened to Linnea. And I heard them discussing it. Explain to me why I'm in the bathroom having a fucking anxiety attack at my trailer. In the bathroom having an anxiety attack. The one and only time I call my child during school hours. While Jeffrey Martin Miller's claiming in court, she calls her all day during school, disturbing her. You lying son of a bitch. You lying son of a bitch. I called her one time. Apparently, she was already in the office. They called me not even 2 seconds later. She didn't answer her phone. They called me not even 2 seconds later from the school phone and said, we need you to come down here because there's been an emergency. I was in my restroom hearing some bitch telling my daughter she was never going to see her mother again. I'm freaking out to the point where I hear my child being choked. And then they call me and tell me I need to come to school because she was strangling herself with a lanyard. That doesn't sound fishy to anyone. I tried to tell Officer Ramirez the same thing. I was trying to tell him right there in the front of the building. I was at home having an episode. I really believe I'm being electronically harassed. And I could hear all of this going on. I could hear my child being choked. I could hear someone telling her she was never going to see her mother again. Hi. And then they called me and told me I needed to come into school because she had choked herself. And then they waited for Jeffrey Martin Miller to get there. They went and locked themselves in a room with him and didn't include me in anything else. Outrageous that I'm sitting here all alone. I have a job interview on Wednesday. Thank God. I hope it goes through. I hope nothing going on in California with that bitch using my name. I hope none of this I hope nothing that's happening to me unjustifiably so is going to stop me from getting this job, because I'm a good person. I'm great around kids. Young kids, old kids alike. Old kids. Younger and older kids alike. I'm a good person. Thank you. And I deserve to be able to take care of myself. I don't want to be sitting here on benefits. I just made the mistake of paying my fucking cable bill in California. They claimed I owed them $70.99. When I told them to turn it off at the end of the billing cycle, and I paid everything before I left. So I went on my stupid phone, paid the wrong Spectrum bill, so now my phone bill's not paid. So now I'm probably not going to have my phone at the end of the month, because that's $104. Because first of all, I have to pay for my phone bill, and I have to pay for the $350 iPhone. Still, every month I have to pay on that phone that they won't let me report stolen, that Jeffrey Martin Miller allowed to be taken from my child, and then claimed it was taken for disciplinary reasons. So the police said there was no crime committed because it was taken for disciplinary reasons. When students lose their phone at school and a teacher takes their phone, they're not allowed to keep it. So Jeffrey Martin Miller, who's been robbing me since he met me, you're not allowed to keep the phone I'm still purchasing. And if they go back and read the text messages, get the text messages from Spectrum, and it will tell you. You'll see it in there. I told Linnea repeatedly, I can't afford the insurance on this phone. This phone is for me to stay in contact with you. No one is to use this phone until it's paid off. It's not yours. It's my property. No one is to look at or use this phone because my information is in it, and it's my property until I'm able to pay it off. But it was her Christmas present, but until I paid it off, it was not her property. And they're refusing to let me report it stolen. A $350 iPhone 6. Brand new. Her Christmas present. And then you've got her biological father, who I sent a $100 gift card to when she was there, and he was supposed to send that back and still hasn't. All this money I shell out, okay, you guys are well off and good to do, but I don't ask you motherfuckers for any fucking support. I don't ask either one. Jeff, I don't want shit from him. He already took $1,800 out of one of my bank accounts. I've never wanted any child support from him. I've never even wanted him to be in my kid's life, and they violated my rights ridiculously, doing that against my objection anyways. But from her real dad, I checked the box on the child support paperwork. It says, do you want compensation, or are you expected, would you like compensation or support from the father, her real dad? And I said, no. We had both agreed we didn't want kids. I got pregnant. I was going to take care of it, but I decided not to. I don't expect him to take care of a kid that he didn't want and wasn't ready for. I respect that. But at the same time, all this money I'm shelling out that none of these motherfuckers are sending back, right now I can't afford to do anything but pay the bills. Here I am paying off an iPhone that the police think, oh, it's okay to let Jeffrey Martin Miller use assault with a deadly weapon, numerous robberies, numerous narcotics charges, hypodermic device charges, sex crimes against minors. They allow him to have my kid and my kid's phone and to abuse me for 14 years. This shit's fucking ridiculous. And And then my family to sit here and act like I just decided to stay out there and neglect my kids. No, I didn't make any choices. I didn't have a choice. My mom needs to stop speaking on things she doesn't know anything about. She told CPS in California that I was on methamphetamines for 8 years. She hasn't been in my life for 20 years. She hasn't been in my life for 20 fucking years. So how does she know anything that I was doing? But she's the first to tell me to stop putting our business on YouTube. You told CPS I was on meth for 8 years. Who the fuck did she even get that from? Who the fuck did she even get that from? Crazy shit.